Welcome everybody to my new channel, Brewing with Paul B here. Today we're going to do a little brewing of American Amber by Brewers Best, American Amber. Looks like a pretty simple recipe. We got our crushed malt, we got our liquid malt extract, sugar, yeast, hops, and our dry malt. Since this is the first channel, or first video on my new channel, if you head on over to Rogue Man Outdoors, ROGUEMAN space OUTDOORS. That's my main channel. That's hunting and fishing, but I also have a couple of brewing videos over there that I'm going to transfer. I'll try to transfer over to this channel. But from now on, my brewing videos will be on this one. So what we got here, like I said, we got our Amber, American Amber from Brewers Best. And we got our 2.5 gallons of water starting to boil. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our crushed malt. We got a bag over there. And as soon as we get that going, I'll fill you in. So the water is about 150. We put all our grains in this bag here. We're just going to let it sit there for 20 minutes and then we'll move on to the next step. So our 20 minutes of boiling, not really boiling, just steeping the grains is over. So all we're going to do is we're just holding it up. We're not going to squeeze it. We're just going to let it drain naturally. And then we're going to add the liquid malt extract and the dry malt extract. And we'll be getting our wort, starting to get stuff, make it into beer. So what I got here is the liquid malt extract. We're just gonna pour that right in. We're gonna do some stirring, make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom. Now what I do with the liquid malt extract is while the grain is steeping, I put the liquid malt extract in a very hot sink full of very hot water. Makes it a lot easier to get it all out. So we're just going to scoop all that good stuff out of it. So I got my liquid malt extract in here. Now we're going to add the dry malt extract. And basically the same thing. We're going to stir this in. So what we're going to do now, along with stirring, is we're going to increase the temperature to get it to a nice little roaring boil, a little rolling boil. Still got a few clumps of that dry malt extract. As soon as this gets up to a good little boil, we'll add in some hops, and then we'll let the hops boil in it for 30 minutes. Add the second pack of hops, let it boil for another 30 minutes, then move on from there. So we got ourselves a little bit of a boil going on underneath this foam. So we're going to add our hops in now. They're just little teeny tiny, basically look like rabbit or hamster food. So we'll stir in the hops. Then we'll set the timer for 30 minutes, let it go, and come back and add the second bag of hops. It's been 30 minutes. I just added my second pack of hops, and gonna let this boil for another 30 minutes. So our second boil is done. So now it's time to turn the oven off. That's done, and we're going to cool the beer in the sink. What we got here is we got the brew pot in the sink, and we got cold water coming out and going around the beer. Now eventually that's going to fill up and it's going to overflow into my second sink, and we're just going to keep that going. It's about 20 minutes, You need the beer to cool down to about 70 degrees, at which point we'll add in our yeast, and we'll transfer this over to our first fermenting pot. So our beer has cooled down to about 75. We're going to transfer it from the pot into our first fermenting bin there. Now, the idea is to try to get all the beer from the pot into the fermenting bucket without getting the stuff on the bottom, the hops and the malt from the bottom. As soon as this is done, we'll fill it up with some more water, add our yeast. So we transferred over our water and our beer, and we're left with 5 gallons of beer, wort if you will here. So get a little bit of a stir. Now we're going to take the OG. Where is it? The original gravity, and we'll be able to subtract this at the end from our final gravity, which will give us roughly our alcohol content. Just plop that in there, let it settle down, and then we'll take a reading. Right there. So our OG for beer is going to be 1.401. That's what I'm getting right here, 4.001, which is a good starting point. So our original gravity is going to be 1.042. 1.042. So let's write that down real quick. From here, we are going to add in our yeast. This is what's going to ferment it, give us the alcohol. So from here, we're going to cap it. What we got right there, let me back you up a little bit. Better. Whoop, there we go. So this here is a little stopper-like thing. Basically, as the yeast is making CO2, it will allow it to come up through here. There's a little bubble in here. When that fills up, it will belch out the bottom. As you can see, there's water, and it'll come out through the top. That prevents oxygen from getting in and ruining the beer. So we'll cover this up, and we'll see you in another week. So it's a week later. We're going to transfer our beer from our pail into our glass carboy. The carbonation was really going the second and third day that it was in the pail. So we're going to transfer in here, continue our secondary fermentation, and we will continue on with letting it ferment for another week before we bottle it. So as you can see, we filled up our glass carboy there with our beer. Now all we're going to do is we're going to cap it off with my little stopper there. Have the airlock so CO2 can continue to come out when needed. And the reason I do a two-stage, there's my capper. The reason I do a two-stage fermentation process is look at all that stuff down at the bottom. So this is all your sludge, your hops, your yeast, everything that is left over. You don't want that in your beer. So doing two-stage allows me to get rid of all this before bottling. So with our glass carboy filled with all the beer that's in there, we're going to set her aside for another week before we bottle it. And then after bottling it, it'll take another 2 weeks and it'll be good to go. So here's our final product. we had a pretty good head on there. I did drink a little bit. This is a pretty good beer. Definitely not a light beer. This is only a 2, maybe 3 beer a night kind of beer. Pretty heavy. Good carbonation. Didn't get that much alcohol. It came out at the end as only a 3.4%. But has good flavor, good taste, kind of heavy like I said. I give this one 3 out of 5. Not a terrible beer, but definitely I've definitely brewed some that I like better than this. But this is still a pretty good beer in my opinion. If I ordered this at a bar or brewery, I wouldn't be dissatisfied, but it wouldn't be one that I'd be ordering all the time. Definitely, like I said, some better beers that I have brewed, but this isn't terrible. Like I said, 3 out of 5 beers. So until next time. So remember, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you on the next one.